Hello YouTube. My name is Dean and I'm a professional guitar tech. I've been teching and working on guitars, also building custom guitars for better than 20 years. And today I'm going to walk you guys through the installation of a set of Kirk Hammett bone breaker EMGs into a Jackson guitar. So, what we're going to need for this project is, first you're going to need a soldering iron, because basically we have to gut this guitar. We have to remove all the former electronics that are in there to replace with all the new electronics. And by the way, this is a solderless kit for putting these back together. So a couple solder connections you have to make, but nothing like the old days where everything had to be soldered and hardwired. Anywho's, a couple things you're going to need for this project. You're going to need usually a reamer, because the shafts of the new pots are usually larger than these import Jackson pots, so you gotta kind of open them up with that. You're gonna need a wire stripper, and you're also gonna need a clipper, and you're going to need, this is a nut driver. It's 11 millimeters for removing the old nuts from the back, and also the jack. This may be bigger, and if it is bigger, it's an American size. We'll get to that later. And you're gonna need a number 2 screwdriver to start taking this thing apart. Okay, that being said, let's get started. First off, we're going to remove the back plate and expose the electronics. So, there we go. Sometimes these things stick pretty good. We'll get this thing out of here. I'm just going to poke it out. Okay, there we go. That's done. Now what we need to do is take the old electronics out. And if you're new to doing this, what you want to take notice of is when you get to your switch, when you're disconnecting, trace your wires as to what pickup goes where, like neck, bridge, because you are going to have to solder the new connections from your neck and bridge pickup back up to your switch. So find the right wire and make a note on a piece of paper, or you could take a Sharpie and put like a B or an N where the neck and bridge pickup go in there, just so you have reference to yourself when you're putting the new ones in where you're going, because this is a sealed slider switch and there's not a whole lot of ways to see which way the blade of the switch is going, or to what side of the switch is pointing to. So we're going to do that. It's going to be real easy for you. Anyways, I'll be right back. I'm going to get a Sharpie and we're going to show you what I would do if I were you. Okay, I removed the strings. We are going to do a full setup on this guitar when it's done, when the install is done. So strings are off, which you have to take off anyway to do the pickup job. So I'm going to show you guys how to figure out what pickups are going where on the switch, so you could mark them so you won't get confused later on. I've already unscrewed the neck pickup. It's the 4 screws. You take them out. You don't have to touch those yet. And I'll pull the pickup up like that and hold on to it. I'm going to flip the guitar on its side, and I'm going to pull the pickup, pull the wire like that. Now you see which wire is moving, which is this wire here. And the lead going to the switch is the white lead. And here's the other pickup, and your other lead's the red lead. So you now know you have a red and white lead. You have a white bridge pickup, you have a white neck pickup, excuse me, and you got a red bridge pickup. So that being said, I'm going to tuck this pickup back into the front of the guitar, and then turn the guitar on its belly, holding the pickup so it doesn't pop out and scratch the guitar. Alrighty, so we determined that white was going to be our neck pickup. So I'm going to put an N, just a quick N on the switch right by the white lead. So you have an N, and then here I'm going to just put a B. And there you go. You got neck and bridge. So you got your reference points to where to solder your leads from your new pickups. Okay, now I'm going to take this, taking the pickups out. What I'm going to do is take my soldering iron. And we're going to always, when you solder, always clean the tip and tin your iron. I tinned it earlier. You want your iron basically to look nice and silver, not burnt. It's kind of like that. And pretty much you're ready to go. All right, first off, we're going to remove the neck pickup. We'll start up there. So I'm going to just touch it to the lug on the switch. Don't burn up the wires. You don't have to do that. I'm going to remove that, and we're going to go back, and I'm going to remove the bridge pickup, which is right back here. I'm getting it from this side. Okay, so I'm going to touch it to the lugwards just to loosen it up, and then that's gone. Now we have a ground wire. The ground wires are all connected to the back of this pot. So what we need to do is we need to get the grounds off the back of the pot. You can hold your iron until you loosen up the solder. One trick is, but we don't have to do it this time, if you have trouble melting the solder, you should have a good soldering iron. Number one, you should have at least a 45 watt soldering iron. I like the Weller. It's simple, it's easy, and you got a heat control for your heat range and stuff, and it works out real well. So anyways, a lot of times you have trouble melting solder on pots, and everyone's like, I held the iron there forever and it wouldn't melt. Secret to that is, when you're holding it there, you take a little fresh solder and you hit the tip of the soldering gun. When the solder heats up from the soldering gun, it superheats the old solder and it will soften it up and it will come right off. In this case, however, the solder wasn't too hard to deal with. Basically I just held it on there and voila, melted it, off it comes. So we got that off. So now we're going to remove our pickups. I'm going to grab our neck pickup and just pull it through just like that. What we're going to do is we're going to need these rims for the new pickups, or the pickup rings. We're going to need them to install the new ones on there. So I'll put that off to the side. I'll get to that in a second. And once again, we're going to remove the 4 pickup ring screws on the sides, like so. And then we're going to get this bridge pickup out. And then we're going to start, basically we're going to remove both pots, and it's pot. By the way, P-O-T. A lot of people say pod. Nothing irks me more than hearing someone say, oh, the pods aren't working. Terrible. Don't ever do that. It's pot. Anyways, we're going to remove this pickup, and then we're going to remove the pots. Sorry for the humor on that, but in the shop I get that all the time. It drives me crazy. Anyways, let's pull this one out. Okay, bridge and neck are both out. So we're going to set those off to the side for now. Now we're going to remove the pots. And we're going to also remove the jack, because EMG comes with its own jack, with its own pots, and so on. Alright, there's no set screw in these knobs. So basically, we can just pull them up. Just pop them right up. Set those off to the side. So go like that. And now is when you're going to need your nut drivers, 11 millimeters, and basically it goes over the shaft. Boom, there you go. If you don't have a nut driver, you could use an adjustable wrench. You can use whatever you have, but I wouldn't suggest using like needle nose or pliers, because you have a tendency to slip, then you put a big huge scratch in the guitar, and that's pretty awful. I need not to say any more about that. Anyways, sorry for sounding awkward. I'm just trying to talk while I'm working, and usually I work in a quiet place and I don't have to make a video. Okay, so these are loose. We got the pots basically coming out. What I'm going to do is I got to cut off these what you call it, zip ties, excuse me. Okay, let's get these out of here. Okay, wires are free, so you got your 2 pots. What you can do a lot of times with these is kind of keep everything together. This is your bridge ground. When you're using EMGs, you don't need to use a bridge ground because the way the system is. So basically you could clip that and just tuck it in. When you're done, just tuck it into the cavity, and that's pretty much what you do. Alright, now here we go. We got your switch ground that goes to the pots. This we're going to keep because we're going to ground the switch to the new pots. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to clip it off the back of here, and I'm going to strip it later and resolder it to the new pot. So there you go. That's out of there. Alright, now here's your the center is where your heat, actually your hot wire to your new pot. So with the EMG and everything, it's going to be basically the same thing. What we're going to do, I don't know if the EMG kit comes with a wire to solder to the hot side of the switch or not, but we're going to save this wire on the switch just till we find out. Anyways, alright, so next off we're going to remove this jack. So we're going to try that. The 11 don't work, so we're going to go to a regular standard SAE size, which this, in that case, it's a 1/2 inch nut driver, which is usually always the jack one. So I'm going to loosen that up. And we're going to take the jack out of here. And I will pull the football plate off later. Actually, I need to pull the football plate off right away because it won't slip through. So we're just going to unscrew the plate back here. Alright. And we'll set these screws off to the side. We'll pull this jack out. Then we're going to open up the box of the new pickups and start making sense of everything that we got going on in there. So. Okay, no need to bore you with the rest of taking out this jack plate. So I'll get back to you when we open up the new box so we get ready to start installing the new guts. Okay, I already put the neck pickup in the guitar, being that the process with the bridge and the neck pickup of actually mounting it, putting it in, and feeding the wires through are basically the same. So I figured I'd show you on one because there's no point in showing you on both. I put the wires already through the cavity. Sometimes, word of warning, the cavity holes could be small because you're passing basically one thin wire through, one thin piece of coax from the old pickup, opposed to EMG's got this flat 3-conductor wire, plus you got to pass another end, 2 ends of clip through there. And basically, I already did that for you, so you wouldn't have to see it. But sometimes you do have to enlarge the hole. Not in most cases. In this case, it just went in, so we're good. Anyways, let's get back to this old pickup. I'm taking the pickup ring off the pickup, which are basically these screws. You want to kind of watch when you do it so the springs don't go flying. And basically, we're just going to take this out, just like so. And take the ring off the pickup. Simple stuff. Okay. A little bit more, and we're free. Okay, there you go. Now, you're not going to save these springs or these screws because with these import Jackson pickups, it's a real fat screw. It's way different than the EMG screws. So what we're going to do is pull them out of the ring. What I like to do, this is a customer's guitar. What I like to do is give the customers back everything as it came out. As you can see, I left the harness basically together. I just pulled the harness straight out. And I'm gonna, in case they ever want to reinstall, it makes it a lot easier for them to do it. And basically, I do the same thing with the pickups. Okay, so what I like to do is I'll take the old springs and the old screws, and I'll just bring them up to the old pickups and just kind of put them together and just start them in the old pickup screws like so. That way you give them back to the customer. Nothing's lost. Everything's together. And even for yourself later on, if you want to pull your great EMGs out of your guitar because you got a better guitar and you want to sell the guitar, you can basically take everything and you have track of where everything stock went, and like so. You just kind of put it all back together, set it off to the side with the other one, and then you're ready to go. Actually, let's get that out of the sunlight. There you go. Alrighty, so now we're going to take, this is the bridge pickup EMG BBB, which is whatever they call this, bone breaker bridge. So this is the correct pickup for the bridge. So we're going to install that. This is BBN for neck. That's what it would say on the back right there. All right, so here's your connector. There's an arrow on the connector like that. You want to take the arrow side up on the EMGs, and you're going to slide it in just like this. Your arrow side up right here, going in, boom, just like so. All right, now, actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this off real quick and put the new ring back on. It makes it a little easier. So we're going to take, you got a flat ring so you don't have to worry about angle on this. So we're going to go right there, and then we're going to go with one of the new springs like so. Kind of hold the pickup. Your pickup's basically going to go, so obviously, so EMG is right side up when you're looking at the guitar from the bridge. That's how you know you got the pickup the right way. And we're going to push this through. What I'll do is I'll put the spring against where the hole is, where your screw's going to go through. Just kind of push it there and hold it lightly. And then just take your screwdriver and just kind of turn it and make sure it's going in the hole. You can flip it, and there you go. You want to cross thread it. You want it to go in nice and easy, just like that. Okay, So that's one. We're going to do the other one real quick. Just basically the same deal. Let's take your screw, poke it through, put your spring on there, kind of put it in position, kind of hold upside down, keep your finger on the screw. And you could pull the spring down with your fingernail if you want to expose more screws, see where you're at. But like I said, I've been doing this for a while, so I kind of get a feel for it. So we're going to put the screwdriver back on. And there we go. I got the screws started just like that. Alrighty. Now, what we're going to do is going to pull this up a little bit so we have more room in the cavity. And it's your bridge pickup, so your bridge pickup's always going to sit higher, closer to your strings. The EMG pickups, you like to pull them as close to the strings as possible. But we'll show you that when we finish the setup on the guitar. Anyways, once again, there's your arrow. And here's your connection. Your arrow goes on the upside. You take this, like I said, just put that on like that. Push a little bit more of the wire through. And make sure the wire kind of gets out of the way from the screws, just like that. And then we're going to remount this pickup using the pickup screws that we took out. And basically, when we get this here, when I get this mounted, what we're going to do then is we're going to go about taking all the pots and everything out of the box, and we're going to look at the instruction manuals real quick, and I'll point out a couple things to you guys. This is a solderless, a virtually almost 100% solderless connection, except to the pickup switch. You will have to solder your leads to the switch. Other than that, it's virtually solder free, so it's really cool for the novice guy and the pro alike, because face it, who wants to splice, cut, and solder all day? I mean, I like it, but a lot of people don't, so this makes it really easier for the people that don't. Anyhow, I'm going to be back in a minute as soon as I'm done finishing up with this, and then we're going to break out the other components and the instruction manuals. We're going to point out a couple things to you guys about how it goes together. Alrighty, we'll get right back with you as soon as I'm done doing this. Okay, now we're back. I pulled everything out of the box that we're going to need for our installation. One is the wireless junction box, which is really cool. They have everything pretty much labeled as to where things go on here, which is great. You got your bridge pickup, your neck pickup, your output wire, and you also got your ground wires, and then you got your switch wires, your bridge, your neck, and your hot from the switch go to the green box. Real cool, real simple. We're going to run through that in a second. And you got your passive tone, which basically you're going to go from your jack into your passive tone, a jumper to the volume. And here's your volume, and if you notice, EMG like basically writes what everything is on the back. That's volume, the other one says tone, so you're all good. And it makes it really simple. These are all the leads you're going to need. This will be your jumper that will go from your pot to pot. This is your jumper that will go from your pot to your junction. And this is your jumper that's basically going to go from your jack into your passive tone. Anyways, I'm going to show you the diagram that we need. Being that this guitar is a just a 2 pickup, 1 tone, 1 volume guitar, we're going to use this diagram right here. We got master volume, master tone, and basically we're going to use this switch diagram because this is the type, like a Strat type switch that we have in this guitar. And you just ignore this. This would be a Les Paul 3-way toggle switch, which none of this is going to apply to us. So basically, this is the deal. And like I said before, the only soldering we're going to have to do is we're going to have to put leads from the switch, like here and there for the pickups. Basically, right there and there. We're going to have to solder them to our switch. We already have the hot wire, which is basically what the screen wire represents, and the ground wire is already on, which that's what it represents. I already soldered the bridge wire to it, but now I'm going to put the neck wire on there just to show you guys, how I do it and what to do. Okay, that being said, I'm going to use a white wire to represent the neck and a blue wire to represent the bridge, which is already on. And what I like to do, this is something before I put the wire on, if you want to get a clean soldered job, you don't want to use a ton of solder. And you don't want to have to put 10 tons of heat to whatever part you're heating up the solder. So what I do first is what you should do, good practice for soldering, something called tinning. You go to the end of the wire And basically, you hold your soldering iron there, and you melt just a bit of solder onto the wire, nice and hot like that. So you have like a bit of solder on the wire. That's called tinning. And you want to keep the tip of your soldering iron as clean as you can for a good connection. You get nice clean solder joints with that. So basically, okay, I cleaned that off. And now what we're going to do is take the tinned end. Here we go to the end, the neck lug that we marked previously. We're going to heat that up. Put that wire to it, and we're going to let the solder harden. And there you go. Got a nice hardened joint. If you notice, there's not a lot of solder, and it's a nice shiny joint, which is called a, well, good solder joint. If it was gray and weak looking, it'd be called a cold solder joint, which you don't want. So that's basically what you want. So we got that done. So this will be the extent of our soldering with this project. So I'm going to turn the iron off, and we're going to move it out of the way right now because you don't want a hot soldering iron running into your guitar or any other parts. So we can put the solder off to the side. Okay, now, following the directions, we're first going to wire up the junction box to the switch. So we're going to pull the box, and it's going to say bridge, neck, hot, and ground. Okay, so what we're going to do is we'll start with our bridge connection. It slips right in that hole, right in there. I'm going to slide your wire in, just like so. Might have to loosen this up a little bit. No, there we go. So it's in. I'm going to take a small Phillips screwdriver, and it's a Phillips head screw, and we're just going to tighten that down real good. Then pull on the wire, make sure the wire's not going to come out, and that's one good connection right there. Now we're going to go with the neck wire, and basically NK on here is neck. I'm going to just stick that in, just like so. And I'm going to tighten that down like I did the other. Okay, nice good connection. Now we're going to go with the hot wire, which basically puts power to your switch. We're going to go right there in the O, in the 0 block. We're going to put that in real nice, and we're going to once again tighten that lug down. Like so. You'll always give the wires a little tug, make sure you're not going to fall out. Now we're going to take the ground, and we're going to go on this side, nice and neat like. Going to go right into the ground on the block. Okay, there we go. I'll push it a little bit more. There we are. And we're going to tighten up that ground, like so. Okay. And there you go. Now we're wired to the switch. So our next step, if you want to refer back to your manual, is we're going to wire up our pickup connections first. So basically, your pickup wires are these right here. Pull these out of the way. I pre-marked my wires so I knew which one was which. So what I did basically is I took a black Sharpie and I put a black marker on this. This will be my neck connection. And here I just left it plain for the bridge. So what you want to do is you got, excuse me, your black wires. So what we're going to do is you got bridge in. We're going to make sure we get the bridge pickup. Once again, I'll double check my wires because I marked them. Okay, this here is the neck. I'm going to actually do the bridge first. So you got your bridge wire in. And what you want to do, EMG puts a little arrow on all the wires to let you know it's the right way in. And basically, if you look at the box, basically you got your black and you got your white, which is what this means. You got your black wires and your white wires. White's hot, black's the ground side. And then your red ones will go into the other side of the junction. We'll do that later. So what we want to do is we're going to take this, making sure the arrow's going in the right direction, and we're going to go bridge in. So basically, oh, and it's also marked. You got B and W, which makes it even easier. So black wire and white wire. Boom, there we go. So that connection's made. Now we're going to go neck. Same thing, arrow up. You just go right there to the junction and push it in just like so. Okay. Then you got your output. What we're going to do is we're going to pre-hook. Actually, let me get the pickups wired in first so there's not too many wires to be to be confusing. So we're going to go to this side of the switch right here. We're going to go with the hot wires now. And your first wire, let me show this on this. Your first wire that goes closest to your green block is going to be your hot wire from the excuse me, from the battery terminal. That will go in next. Then we got your second wire is your bridge, then your third wire is your neck. So we're going to go, this is the bridge, second wire. It doesn't matter which way you plug these in, but there is an arrow, so we're going to follow the arrow once again. Second, here, I'll put this in first, I'll show you. Okay, that's plugged into the second terminal. The first terminal is going to be power, second terminal is pickup. So that is your bridge. This is going to be your neck right here. So once again, we're going to find the arrow, which is right there, and we're just going to plug that right in there. Just like that. So right now, basically your pickups are completely connected. So what I'm going to do is, next thing we're going to do is wire in the jumper that's going to go to your pot. So here it is, and basically it's going to go from here, the last terminal in black, to your master volume. So let me put that on the switch. Right here, same deal. You got your arrow up, black wire, white wire. Boom, we're going to go right like that, so we're in. Now we're going to take your master volume right here, and we're going to go that wire. Basically, I like to always kind of hold everything the way it's going to go in a guitar. So this is how they show it. That's how you got it, and easy enough. We're going to go right in with them. We're going to go right in off the junction box into this. So same deal. Of course, you got your arrows, which are right here. You always want your arrows pointing up. We're going to go right in here, just like so. Boom, there you got it. Now we're going to take a jumper, and we're going to do the same thing. Arrow up in the next position right here. And I'll show you on the instructions after I plug this in. That's where it goes. So that goes right in there. So that's connected. Now what you want to do, we're going to get our tone. And we're going to go off of that. We're going to go off of that. There's our jumper into the first terminal spot on the tone switch. Okay, so we're going to hold the tone switch just like this, just like the way you see in the picture. So we got that. So we're going into our first spot. So once again, wire up, just like that, and you're in. Okay, now the next step is we're going to take this jumper, which is basically going to go from your tone to your jack, and we're going to install that. Once again, you got your arrow up, you put that in just like so, and basically we're pretty much put together right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to button everything up in here. I'm going to screw in the pots, make everything nice and neat. Also, the junction box gets stuck down with a piece of Velcro. I already stuck the Velcro there, right here on the guitar, so you can see it in there. Because what you want to do is you want to keep everything out of the way, and you want to keep everything buttoned down nice and neat. So what I'm going to do is I'll stick this junction box to there, which will keep it in below the cover, and I'm going to zip tie or wire tie these wires together in a neat fashion, and then we're going to come back, and then we're going to put the jack in, and then finish the installation. But right now, that's basically it, and that's basically how to do it. When we come back, we'll get the jack installed and everything, and then we'll take it from there. All right. Okay, now for the final stages, we're going to install our battery terminal and our jack. Okay, first off, as we saw in the junction box before, the battery terminal connects to the first open terminal on the red part of the block. So we went down here, as you can see, and I installed that right there on the end. So that's in there, that goes to our terminal. And you could also see I installed the system nice and neat. The main thing when you do wiring is try to keep your cavities and stuff super neat so you don't have wires going everywhere. What I did is I looped the wires, we used a wire tie, and I was going to mount the junction box in the middle, but it was a little bit tall for the cover. So instead of smashing everything, I went to the side of the cavity right here where it was open, and I mounted it to there. and the battery will still go in there, and we have plenty of room. So yeah, the battery's gonna end up snapping in there, and we're all good. All right, so now what we need to do is we're gonna hook up our battery terminal to our jack. So I'm gonna go right around here, and here's the jack hookup right here. So if you hold your jack this way, like you're showing in the picture, where you have both of your blades to this side, there and there, you go off of your battery terminal to the very first one right here. So you go on there, basically you push that on there, and that's that. Now what you do is you want to go and you're going to hook up your passive tone, which is basically going to hook up everything to the jack for power. So what you do next is you got your ground, which you're going to go to the center right here. You're just going to pop that in just like that. And then you're going to take your hot lead, which you could always tell. I'm going to show you how this works actually. How you know where you're at. The very center of your jack, which basically goes to your lug, to the center part, that's your sleeve, and that is your ground. So what you want to do is this one right here goes right to that sleeve in the center. So that is your ground. On any jack, you could figure it out. A lot of people wear their jacks backwards, get this god-awful noise, nothing works, and they want to know what's going on. That is always, your sleeve is always your ground. So this one here is called your tip. And why they call it the tip is it goes around that little circle, it goes to this. And the tip of your plug, when you plug in your guitar, the groove hits right on there. So that's tip. So basically your hot always goes to your tip. So let's just plug this in, like you know it, boom. And there we go. Basically the install is finished. What I'm going to do is we're going to put this jack through, and we're going to put the football plate back in, and I'm going to push these all in a little bit so we don't make contact with the side, because a lot of times they paint with conductive material, and when you hit it, basically it kills everything. So we're going to put this in here. This is going to have a little clearancing issues on this because, once again, this was an import size jack, so it's not really going to fit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this off camera, and I'm going to enlarge this hole to fit this so it'll slip in there easy. I could probably do it with my reamer, but I don't want to kill it, so I think I'm just going to run a round file through it until it'll fit. And then basically once that's in, you're going to always make a practice when you're doing your jacks, put a star washer on it, put your jack on, and put a face washer on the front, and then your bolt. The reason you put the star washer on there is because it bites in and your jack won't become loose prematurely, and you won't end up with your jack falling in or things shaking around going whenever you move on stage or wherever you're playing. So anyways, we're going to enlarge that. We're going to finish this up, and we're also going to take a fresh 9-volt battery, and what we're going to do is, well, I'm sure at this point you all know how to plug in a 9-volt battery, but you go like that, and we're going to set our battery off this way so it fits underneath here. We could actually, we'll lay it down. What I do when I do this is I'll take some foam from the pickup box, or any foam that you have, wrap up your battery in foam, and just put a piece of tape on there holding the foam to it. The reason you do this, number one, you want the foam to build it up so the battery's not knocking around in there. Also, you have electrical connections. Your battery's metal. If it hits across an electrical connection and grounds out, your guitar will just die right there. It'll cut your signal, and you don't want to do that. So basically, always wrap the metal battery up in some kind of foam. If you don't have foam, you could do a couple layers of paper towels and just some tape, painter's tape, masking tape. Don't use electric tape. It's too sticky. I hate that stuff. It just makes a mess. So basically, we're going to do that. I'll get back to you when it's all installed. I'm going to show you the final install when I get back. And then we're going to bring it in the house. We're going to plug it in. And we're going to do what I call a tap test. We're going to take a screwdriver. We're going to tap it to each pickup and go through all the modes on the switch to make sure the pickups are doing what they're doing. And then basically the install is done. Anyways, I'm going to get back to you when everything is installed and we go inside, plug it into an amp, and do a test on it. Okay, as you can see, we're all done and installed. The jack is all installed. Everything is put back the way it was. We reamed that hole out a little bit to fit that. And now, basically, here we go. We got the 9-volt installed. I wrapped it in foam and put a little gaff tape around there. The foam keeps it from moving. It's not going to smash into anything, and it's going to sit nice and flush against the cover. we put the cover back on. So anyways, let me do that, and we're going to go inside and we're going to test it real quick as soon as we're done with this. Let's get this cover on and put the knobs back on, and we'll see inside. Okay, here we are. We're in the house to test her out. As you can see, we're all put together real nicely. Everything looks great. And we're going to do what I like to call the tap test, just to make sure everything's functioning properly. First, the volume is off. We'll roll the volume up, and we're in the bridge position. As you can see, the bridge pickup's working great. Your neck pickup is dead, like it should be. Next, we're going to go on the second position, neck and bridge pickup. Working great. Now, third position, or actually that's the first position, but whatever. There's your neck pickup, bridge is off. Now we're going to test our tone control. Tone's all the way up. We're going to tap as we roll it back. There you go. That's in the neck. Now we're going to test it in the bridge. All good. And of course in the middle. And there you have it. So that concludes our install of our Kirk Hammett EMG pickup system. And basically, I hope it's been informative for you guys. I hope you learned a lot from this. Hope I didn't babble too much. And it was a fun install, and it's nice and easy to do. Your main thing is keep your wiring neat. Don't overuse solder. And when you're done, clean up your wire cavity, wire tie what you can, get everything out of the way, nice and neat, and put away. Another thing I'm going to say too is when you have an active pickup system and you're plugged in, when you're done playing, always unplug it, because when it's all the way plugged in, your circuit keeps working and it drains your battery dead. So to keep your battery alive longer, always unplug it. Anyways, this is going to be a wrap for today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please like and subscribe to our channel, Guitar RX. There'll be plenty more videos coming up, lots of informative stuff. We got some actual guitar builds coming up. We got some setups coming up and other things like that. And yeah, it's always fun, and it's always fun to learn. So keep tuning in, and let's keep rocking. Take care.